Hello. This is maybe the 7th time I've recorded this video. Insufficient space, battery's dying. But I'm going to today give you, within like the last 6 months or so, the best recommendations I have for television and film right now. And hopefully you guys will love them. I know not everyone finishes the entirety of all of my videos. For those of you who watch the whole video, thank you so much. I love you. And that makes me really happy. So the first recommendation I have, which is my highest recommendation for all of you, is The Dark Crystal on Netflix. I had seen the advertisements for it, and I knew what it was based off of the original film, because one of my favorite films from my childhood was Labyrinth, but I have never seen the original Dark Crystal. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get into the Netflix show first and see how I like it, and if I like it, I'll watch the original. And I was floored. So now I need to watch the original. The Puppeteers are some of the most extraordinary artists that we don't know about, and this is one thing that I love about Netflix is like even motion capture, and for video games and stop motion like Coraline, and all of these just ways of doing certain art forms that are just not really explored until, different productions and different companies have been allowing those jobs to come forward. This strength and the effort and the hard work of the Puppeteers and the Dark Crystal. And I mean, these people are essentially actors, and they hold these puppets, God knows how many pounds they are. And they had an interview in the documentary that talks about how they made the show, which I also recommend if you do end up watching this show. Is they interview this puppeteer, and he says he was explaining how they make it work, and how they can turn just the head slightly and it'll somehow bring this emotion out of the puppet that's normally just is not built to have built-in expressions or whatever. And whenever behind the scenes, whenever they would make a character do an emotion, you could see them emote on their face, even if they're not even in the camera. They're like down here. And even the man who was the baby in Labyrinth worked on this show. Number 2, Wanderlust. This is with Toni Collette on Netflix. It's a British comedy drama. It's about a couple who their marriage is kind of tinted a little bit, and they find that having sex with other people and then coming back to each other is really good for their marriage. And it explores essentially like sexuality as an older middle-aged adult, and it's just amazing. The next one I have is The King. That was probably one of my top favorite. Maybe on this list that would be my second biggest recommendation. I know everybody knows about it because of Timothée Chalamet, but first of all, he was extraordinary, and I knew he would be, but the movie is about, who was it, King Henry? I should have written this down. When he was young, he was our age, about 23 years old, when he started to rule. And the movie is so much about like a royal court and how they made decisions. There's an entire scene about battle tactics, just talking about it. They don't even show the battle very much, or the battles very much. And that's what's so amazing about this is I think that is one of the most fascinating things about medieval films and television shows, is the technical stuff like that, and the jobs that went on, and the daily life, and what it was actually like to be these people that are huge symbols, like knights or kings or queens, princesses, whatever, and to be able to see how they make their decisions and the difficulty behind that is extraordinary. The next one is my biggest disappointment. It's Dracula, which is nobody knows about because it's only 3 episodes and it was released on Netflix recently, but a friend of mine told me to watch it. You know exactly who you are if you're watching this. Thank you for recommending it to me. Because the actor who plays Dracula, his name is Claes Bang. You'll have to look him up to get the actual pronunciation, but he was incredible. I've never read the story of Dracula. I really want to, but I've loved the idea of Dracula and the themes that are explored within that story that I've heard of. And I saw a BBC, I think it was BBC, television show with with the lead actor from The Tudors, and that was really good. But I watched this, and he made Dracula funny. What is it? Self-ingratiating or something. That was really enjoyable, and it was almost like, I don't know if this is the right word for it, but it's kind of campy the way it's filmed at the beginning, which is really interesting. However, the 3rd episode, they jump to modern times, and it ruins the show. I'll just leave it at that. If you want to watch the 3rd episode, go for it. But if you want my recommendation, don't, and just watch the first 2. The next one is a show, also would probably be on my list, my 3rd biggest recommendation, which is Requiem. It's a British drama on Netflix. I really can't say anything about it. It's because I would spoil something, but it's a psychological thriller horror drama. I'm not going to say anything about it. Look up the Wikipedia, look up the synopsis for it, because they're probably going to do a better job than I am and not spoil anything. But I would also recommend, there is a point at the beginning that they will probably mention in the synopsis, so you should just watch it. Okay, the next one is, so I'm late on the Phoebe Waller-Bridge train. My friend Cyrus, they recommended that I watch Killing Eve. I need to make a separate video on Killing Eve, so that's number 1, more than any of these. But anyways, Phoebe Waller-Bridge wrote Killing Eve, and she's also writing the next James Bond film, which is amazing. So then after that, I decided to watch Fleabag, which my friend also recommended that I watch after Killing Eve, and obsessed with that. That's on Amazon Prime. But this show is one of her earlier works, I think. It's called Crashing on Netflix. I think it's only 9 episodes. Each one is 20 minutes, very short. It's a comedy, but it is hilarious, and it is touching. Those 2 words together are always so good. This next one is the lowest on my list, so you could put this sort of towards the end, depending on what kind of individual you are, but it's called Another Life. It's a sci-fi drama on Netflix. I love Katie Sackhoff, who plays the lead in the show, which is why I started watching it in the first place. She was in Battlestar Galactica. Another thing I'd recommend. These aliens land on Earth, and, well, aliens. Scratch that. I'm not very eloquent today. These alien spaceships, UFOs, come into the atmosphere, and the aliens don't emerge, so it's sort of like the film Arrival. They just sort of stay there on Earth. And so they take this spaceship up into space with all these young people, and Katie Sackhoff's character, which is an older adult. There's a little critter. If you've seen Alien and the movie Life with Jake Gyllenhaal, you'll know, mainly Alien, you'll know that if you take an alien specimen on board, it can be really bad. There are aspects of the show that are disturbing, more so graphic-wise, like just stuff that you're like, ooh. Like Alien, that kind of graphic. So, The Gem. I put this on my list as The Gem, which is basically it's a special, small movie that nobody knows about, that I hope you will watch. It's called Newness. with Nicholas Hoult on Netflix. It's an independent film. It's a drama. It is basically about these two people who are like young adults or whatever, mid-20s, and they are using apps like Tinder and dating apps to just have one-night stands with people periodically, and that's it. No relationships, no nothing. And then they meet each other for the same goal, same reason, and it turns out differently. It sounds cliche. It's not. It's incredible. So, it's also a lot. It's sort of confronting, I think, which is why it's a gem. We love confronting films. So anyways, that is it. If you got to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. I hope some of these bring you some joy or some entertainment, and I wish you all safety and peace and love until we all see each other again. Thank you.